Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to our pitch event. As any Tuesday, 5 o'clock UK time, we go live with our funders. Today, we had three great funders coming from close by, very far away, like Brad coming from Sao Paulo, although the company is based in UK. Lucky stay in the beautiful Spain as be headquartered in the beautiful Norway. And Linda stay and headquartered in uh, Ireland. I really want to thank you to everyone who is coming to watch our pitch day today. I really want to thank to all our founders that spend time with us, showing and they venture and the love they are giving to the startup. Make sure it's going to be a success. Now, without taking too much time, we want to be conceived and very fast moving. These are our three great founders. And I really would like to start with you, Lucky. Lucky Patay, founder of NA Technologies AS. NA Technologies AS is headquartered in Norway. The sector involved is education and social media. We are talking about a seed round and seeking USD 1 million. Lucky, thank you so much for coming. Please, if you want to give an introduction to yourself, and after we can straightforward go to your pitch. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me, first of all. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Lucky Peti. I am the founder for New Amigos, which is divided into two different companies. Today we're going to talk about NA Technologies, which is the owner of our app. But prior to that, we have also launched a physical board game, which goes all the way back to 2002, when we launched 4 different language combinations of it in Norway. And very soon we were all over Europe. And today, actually, we have 35 different language combinations of the physical board game. And in the app, we have 48 different language combinations. I'm a product of New Amigos myself because my father was English, my mother was Norwegian, so 2 different cultures met, and I'm the product of that.
Thank you, Lucky. Please go.
Welcome to New Amigos, which is our name and our mission statement, because we embrace diversity. We create new friendships across cultures. Let me start with the problem. I'll divide it into 3 subgroups. There's increasing number of refugees, people just like you and me. Wife, kids, dreams of the future, career, and then suddenly they're taken away and dislocated to a country where they don't know anybody and where they put on hold waiting for a new life to start. This creates an enormous engagement. People want to help. They want to go in there and see what can we do to help these people, especially now with the Ukrainian refugee crisis. Everybody wants to help. There's enormous engagement in Europe, but there's no sort of one way to actually channel that engagement. I'll give you an example. When the train load of Syrian refugees came to Munich, Germany, the people, they went there with blankets. They wanted to help. And at the end, the authorities had to go out and say, guys, please don't bring more blankets to the train station because the refugees can't get off the train. So there is an enormous engagement, but we're missing this call to action button. Cultures are disappearing faster than species because their children no longer want to speak their language. They're invaded by the culture of the majority. And when the language disappears, so does the culture and all the knowledge that belongs to it, all the specific, that puts them apart from everybody else, that disappears when the language disappears. So the world becomes a poorer place. Imagine if we could empower refugees by virtue of their native language, give them a sustainable income from day one, just based on their language. For example, there are currently more than 10 million Spanish-speaking refugees on the run. At the same time, there are more than 20 million people around the world studying Spanish. We can connect these people through the Tutor on Demand module, which we have in our app, where there can be a small transaction going from the student to the tutor and sustain their livelihood. With the refugees coming into Europe, the locals, the Norwegians, the Germans, Italians, the French that wants to help, they can donate some of their time through the Tutor on Demand module, where they can help the Ukrainians learn the local language. And we can revitalize endangered languages. We can make it popular again to speak endangered languages and revitalize these cultures that are on the edge of disappearing. We already have the app is already launched, and we have governmental support for 12 different language combinations that we have already launched. And we got top score from the Kven youth organization. The Kven language in Norway and Sweden is regarded as a severely endangered language. And their biggest problem is, of course, to make it popular to speak among their children and young. So for us, this is a great token of that what we do actually works. What we need to do from where we are right now and what we're actually also raising money for is to improve our UX and UI. We want to do that before we really do a major launch of the app. All the functionalities, everything is in place, but we would like to do the glazing on the cake better than what we have today. So we want to hire the best that we can find to help us improve the UX and UI. Then we will launch Ukrainian Norwegian. We're already a household name in Norway through 64,000 board games, as we have sold to 5 million people in Norway in a number of different language combinations. So what we want to do there is to use that engagement that people have to help Ukrainians settle in and to become welcome to the Norwegian society. Here they can donate some of their time, meet face-to-face in the app, help Ukrainians learn Norwegian, and at the same time we create a feel-good story for the media. While we do this, we have real users, we can fine-tune the UX and the UI, and then launch it also in other European countries for Ukrainians to learn Swedish, Danish, German, whatever, and continue with the feel-good story. This is a channel for engaged people to help Ukrainians settle in, and they can donate their time through the Tutor on Demand module. Then we can say, oh, by the way, if you also want to learn Arabic or Spanish, you can do that directly from Arabic-speaking and Spanish-speaking refugees. But then there is a small payment that goes through the app. So you can help these people with their livelihood. And I think if we do this right, this could be front page of New York Times. So the roadmap that we're working on for endangered languages is to hire a person dedicated to make new deals in this segment, develop new language combinations from the UNESCO list of endangered languages. There are about 2,300 and something languages on that list currently, and there is public funding for a lot of these languages. And right now the Kven Institute is applying for funding for us to create a multiplayer version, so we can create a digital language cafe for Kven speakers in Norway and Sweden. And this digital language cafe can then, of course, also be available for other language combinations that we have in the app. In 2002, we invented the concept of language cafes. We were the first language cafe in Europe, as far as we know, in the world also, I guess. And it became an immediate success in Norway. The media loved it, so it was a feel-good story. And then from 2004 to 2007, we established 20 language cafes from the south of France to the north of Norway, where we had the physical board game available. We invited foreign speakers to meet with local speakers, and we had different language combinations available. So we could, in Paris, for example, if there was somebody speaking Dutch and wanting to learn French, normally there will already be somebody speaking French that we can connect. And even if they hadn't met before, they would sit down, play the game, learn language from each other, order from the bar, and have a great time. And the media loved it. So we were on pretty much the biggest publications in Europe. We didn't sell the game in the language cafes, so we didn't want people to feel obliged to buy anything there. But we sold it through other outlets, and we sold 400,000 games based on this. In 2016, we had improved our team with 2 more players, as you can see. So then we did the same thing in Norway, but this was then focusing on Syrian refugees. So we had the Arabic Norwegian version, and we established 18 language cafes in libraries around Norway, and we were on the front page of the library magazine, and we were on TV, radio, and a lot of media attention around this also. And again, this drove sales. So the language cafes and the school competitions, I didn't mention those, but as you can see here on the right, in 2007, we started the school competition, which has been going on now in several European countries, nationwide. And this is the final of one of the competitions you see here with the physical board game. And this is the pictures from one of the language cafes where Syrian refugees and Norwegians meet, play, have fun, and learn language from each other. We were then, in 2006, nominated for the Game of the Year in the Netherlands as the first educational game ever. And in 2016, we were awarded European Language Label, which is the highest recognition you get for any language projects in Europe. There is, of course, competition, though they're not really in the same segment as we are, but there are other people offering language tuition. But what sets us apart is that we connect you with a native speaker face-to-face, and the pedagogy is in the app. So the only requirement of the tutor is that they have your target language as their native language. So we're seeking fund, as I said, to improve the glazing, to improve the UX and the UI, and then fine-tune the product, optimize with the Norwegian, Ukrainian version first, and then later on other European languages connecting with Ukraine and Ukrainians, where people will donate their time, so we can then use that as fine-tuning, and then finally we will go out and offer this with a payment solution also, where we will be able to take 20% of each transaction. So there are currently 90 million refugees around the world. There's 2,350 UNESCO languages, pretty much most of them having some sort of funding. And the online language is expected to be more than 20 billion by 2027. It's an enormous market. This is our team. We are 4 that are working full-time. The rest of the team work when needed. They're in standby, so the main people here is Hildegunn, my partner, which you saw previously, and then 2 developers, which are based in Ukraine, And previously we also had Sophia full-time, but she is now down to standby. So we're waiting for funding to take this one step further, and then possibly also bring more people in on our team, or outsource the UX UI design and the public relation part. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucky. Thank you very much. Let me ask you a couple of questions, because after we need to move to the new founder. Let me ask you, you are something between philanthropy on one side and after more on business-oriented side. When it comes to the business side, which means expatriates or anyway people moving outside the country, forced in your case, which are not expatriates to be moved outside the country. How does the business model works when it comes to this part of your business? How do you make money out of it?
Well, with the endangered languages, we get public funding and licenses. So we have a license model there where we get a yearly license. And right now it's 30,000 euros a year per language combination. And as you can see, there are about 3,000 different languages. And for each language, we can estimate about 4 different language combinations. So for example, with North Sami, we have North Sami Norwegian, North Sami Swedish, and North Sami South Sami. So there is a potential for a quite decent income for licenses. When it comes to tutor on demand, we believe that Spanish alone has an enormous potential, because there are, as I said, more than 10 million refugees speaking Spanish, having Spanish as their native language. And we can connect these with students studying Spanish for a much lower price than they would pay in their local countries. So, and the payment will go through the app, and we can take 20% of each transaction. And we're aiming at having sessions as short as 10 minutes and maybe as cheap as $2-3. So it's accessible for all. And then hopefully people will enjoy it and then order another session, take another session. And there's no booking involved. You just go on to the app, find somebody you like, click on them, and the session can start right away.
This is my second and last. Where are you more focused now? In Europe or which part of the world?
Yes, so our focus right now is to fine-tune the app and then launch Ukrainian and Norwegian, which is already available, but we haven't really started marketing yet. And then with engaged Norwegians donating time to meet with Ukrainians through the app, we can fine-tune it further and then bring it on to the rest of Europe before we launched the tutor on demand with transactions and with payments in the app.
Lucky, thank you very much. Please stay with us because we are all together back for our final. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So I'm moving to Linda Davis, co-founder of, I'm going to take this short, Ox. Ox is headquartered in Ireland, is an online marketplace. The investment we are talking about is a C round, and we are talking about a €500,000 in ticket. Linda, thank you very much for coming. I really enjoy having you here with us. If you want to give an introduction to yourself, a short, brief, who you are, and after we can move to Ox. Thank you.
Thank you, Max, for having us. My name is Linda. I'm one of the co-founders of Oxygen, or known as OX. I have been an entrepreneur within the recruitment and human capital space for about 18 years now. I have founded and run and still own a number of recruitment businesses. However, it's not my day job. They're being managed by other people. My co-founder is a seasoned entrepreneur as well, who has founded, sold a number of businesses across Asia Pac, European region. So we both come from, I suppose, deep entrepreneurial experience. That's who we are at the helm of OX.
Thank you, Linda. So let's go.
Okay. So I suppose before I start OX, one of the key things about OX is that we are built for Web 3.0. And in Web 3.0, it's the value creator should own the value. So it's a move from today's economy of centralized systems into decentralized, or the value creator owning their value. So what OX is the 1-minute job app. Now, we are targeting Generation Z, Gen Z, that are aged between 15 to 25-year-olds. However, our dominant target audience will be between 15 and 19. And what it is we are work of the future. It is a brand new income stream for Gen Z. It does not exist in the marketplace as an income stream. And we are giving them a new income stream, what they can do from their mobile phone, anywhere, anytime, any place. So it's a gig, it's a side hustle, and a brand new form of income. We believe that the average user in time will be able to unlock 50 euros per month using the OX app. So to give it context, the individuals or the users of OX will be able to be paid by corporations, governments, and society for their digital attention, time, data, and creativity. One of the foundational pillars of OX is that the user has full privacy, consent, and control of their data, and can choose or choose not to engage in the marketplace. So we want to move back to my Web 3.0 comment. We want to move the user, or the human, or the individual, from being the the product in big tech today to being the actual profit center and monetizing that profit center. So our mission is to make 500 million global borderless citizens, where every member is treated equally and fairly in the same terms, no matter where they live on the planet. Same job, same pay. And again, done as easy as on your mobile phone, waiting on a bus, having a quick lunch break at school, traveling to or from somewhere. Gen Z or our members can earn as they go. Now, we have set a baseline value globally in terms of the value of per minute, per hour, per day of what somebody can earn based on the jobs. So our business model is that we will take a percentage from each member's earnings. So this is a new income stream. So for every piece of income that we put into a user's hand, we will take a small percentage or a commission on each of their earnings. So we're giving them new revenue, and we're just taking a slice of that. So to unlock OX, the key is the connected individual. So we have the individual, and we are looking at them with their time, their data, their attention, their behavioral traits, their creativity, and their network. All of these things intrinsically have massive value, but they get exponential value when we get the connected individual, and we get huge groups of people doing the same tasks, the same jobs. So it's much, much more valuable for the brands, for the companies, the businesses, the governments, or society to get the information that they need from the job back. So, and by the way, the connected individual and data are the most sought after products in the world. So our model is what we call, it's a new model. So to be familiar with business to business model, business to consumer model, we're actually changing that and evolving it into the individual to business model in the 1-minute job. So here on the left, we have the individual, we have their time, their data, their attention, their creativity. When they get connected into the wider group, that massive value then connects with businesses on the right-hand side. And we have it intrinsically in our platform, a behavioral science that we've developed over a 10-year period that will enable brands to match with people on such a deep level that the value of the information they get back will be 10x what it currently is in the market today. So to put that into context, you go on to advertise online, you go, I'm looking for a profile of a person X, Y, and Z. the system you put it onto, whether it's a Facebook or an Instagram, take that out of what we would call demographics and geographics. OX will be able to actually bring that down to personality type at a much deeper level. So not only will you get the demographics and the geographics, you'll also get the intrinsic behavior of the human. Again, caveated with the user is in control and it is all theirs to trade if they choose to, full privacy, consent, and control. So if you come into a little bit of blue ocean, if you think about the connected individual as an extension of your brand. So the obvious economy, the one I've spoken about, is the attention economy, the most sought after economy today in the world. But if we stretch that a bit further, right, we think about the individual and how could they impact your business? Everything from your planning, your design, your R&D, all the way through to your customer experience, all the way through to your after sales. So we are talking about bringing the individual into your organization, groups of individuals where they act as a gig worker within your business. Now, the benefit to the business is that we are cutting out huge, costly chunks of middlemen and making that one-to-one connect direct. So the three markets we're going after, the first one, as I've mentioned, the attention economy, right, which is one we're familiar with: insights, advertising, polls, behaviors, all the sort of standard marketing and insights market today. The second one we're going after is the optimization, in which we believe is absolutely gold, how business can optimize their internal processes using the connected individual, everything down to production, planning, demand, everything. So think again of the individual as a connected gig worker for your business. What's the benefit to the individual? The brands, instead of paying, or the companies, instead of paying platforms and middlemen, will pay the individual direct. So now we've got a really synergistic relationship between the individual and the brands. The third economy we're going after, the collaboration economy, and that is where we get groups and groups of people within the OX platform collaborating and creating in order to sell things forward. But that's a market that's a little bit further out for us. So what are the benefits? The connected individual, completely new source of income. They can earn money for the value that they contribute back to Web 3.0, and the individual has full privacy, consent, and control. The business world, they get to deal directly with their customers, and that's business, government, societal. So anything from charities to government to brands. If you think about anyone who has a customer or has a need for a group of people, it sits on our side of business. The second is increased profits and growth. We are absolutely cutting out costs, cutting out the middlemen, cutting out massive heavy labor within the middle piece of your supply chain, the middle piece of your advertising chain, the middle piece of your R&D chain. And the third is strengthening brand positioning and trust. You'll be building brand advocates for everyone who loves your brand. So what do we need the money for? So where we are today, Human Think is our psychology science that I spoke a little bit about before. We have the 1 minute action or 1 minute job protocol is designed. We have the app. It is up and running and live in the App Store. So it's OXYGEAN is how it's spelled. We've built the basic functionality. So the money is for two key distinct functions. One is the user acquisition, to really drive on the user acquisition. And the second is then to build out some more of the tech, which is our data vault. By the way, all of our technology will be decentralized. So the data vault will sit on the user's phone, and the only time OX will never touch the data. OX would just be a medium of exchange between the customer, the buyer, and the seller. So user acquisition and the data vault are the two primary reasons we're looking for the money. And currently as well, we're going to run our in-app token, which again will be, the money will be used to build out the token. So just to give you context, our acquisition and unlock overview. Our 1 minute jobs, you earn a minimum of 1 YOX per minute. You invite friends, that's a refer a friend scheme. So we're running a member get member acquisition strategy where we are creating ambassadors who are bringing their friends in and creating that chain of engagement with new users. And then we're running competitions as well. So one of the key things here is that we do have a Series A investor that is extremely interested in coming on board once we hit a key milestone. So just to let you know that we have got different investors coming on board at the next level of investment once we hit key milestones. And that, in essence, is OX. Thank you for your time.
As I say, we all know A round is much less complicated than the round between the very, very early and when you move to the seed and late seed stage. So this is where the challenge comes, right? When traction is still not strong, you still need the money to get there.
Yes.
Let me ask you, which kind of data are we talking about?
Oh, the data is everything that anybody can sell or chooses to sell. So anything from what we would say standard base level data, all the way up to your DNA, up to your disease. It's entirely up to you as to what you choose to interact with on a data front. So let me give you an example. Today in Facebook, an individual is worth $1.29 for the data that they take. However, that data that the person has to sell, if they can sell that across all of the different platforms, that data is worth huge money. But let's take a pharmaceutical. If you have a disease and they want to run a clinical trial, the average clinical trial costs $38,000 or euros, right? Now, it's at an 80% failure rate. So if a pharmaceutical were to actually engage with a user who is happy to work with them to sell their data around their disease, that could be worth thousands to the individual, but the pharmaceutical will be saving thousands and have a much higher productivity and return on their investment. So it's all data, Max, that can sit on your mobile phone in your data vault. You just choose if you want to trade it or not. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yes. And when it comes to trading, how do they trade?
They'll trade on the OX platform. So they will get a job. So they will identify a job that they have, say, their interests, their preferences, what they're looking to do. They will get a job into their inbox, and then they will do that job, whether that's for Nike or whether it's for Kellogg's or whether it's for their local government, maybe trying to get a feel from how they feel about a particular politician.
And how many times I can sell my data?
As many times as you like. As many times as you like.
So I can sell 21 my data as long as I give my approval.
As you give approval, yeah.
When it comes to currency, there's a Web3 blockchain, and I'm pretty sure token. So I'm pretty sure there is some kind of crypto inside. How payment can be done in any kind of fiat and cryptocurrency?
Yeah. So what we're starting with is YOX. And a YOX is a token today. That YOX is backed by OX equity. So it has an intrinsic value because it's backed by the value, a portion of the value of OX. And then what we will do is we will put that on an exchange. And as the trading gets higher, then the individual will be able to either trade that into cash if they should choose to, or keep it in as YOX or buy other crypto. So entirely up to them as to how they want to use that money.
What about the vision? I mean, where do you want to go with this platform? You're creating something new. You're creating something that today is not there, right?
Yeah.
Well, how confident you are you can get there?
Well, it's a brand new revenue stream. And if you look at everything that's happening now, if we look at all the major trends in America about parallel economies, if we believe we're on the cusp of actually the individual really starting to understand their value. So 3 years ago, it was a much bigger incline for us. Now people are understanding that I don't want to give away my data. The data laws are working in our favor, which means that a lot of the companies that would have had the power are getting marginalized, but that doesn't stop the need from the organizations to have to still get connected to the human. So I believe we're right on the precipice or the cusp of actually making this incredibly successful. But like everything, Max, you got to, timing is everything, and then you got to push through. But we see this as absolutely a global play. Like as in 500 million, our mission is to make 500 million borderless citizens. And all we have to do is get money in a few people's pockets, and we believe it will take off like hotcakes. We're a hybrid between a working app like a TaskRabbit or Upwork and a financial app, because we're giving the user both things, a job and money.
I mean, I do hope you can get there, and creating a job without border in such an easy way, this will be wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
Linda, stay with us. Thank you. And we are all back together soon after our the last but absolutely not the least founder.
Thank you.
Brad Jones, co-founder and CFO of CrossFit. CrossFit is headquartered in the United Kingdom. The sector is food and beverage. The investment round we're talking about is a seed round and for £500,000 in pound. Brad, thank you so much for coming. How are you?
Hi, Max, and thanks to everybody that's listening. Thanks for having me on. Yes, my name is Brad Jones. I am one of the co-founders and the CFO of CrossFit Drinks. A little bit on my background before we start talking about the drinks business. My background is actually finance. So I spent 10 years working in investment banking. Outside of that, I founded my own software business and exited that. And outside of that, I've also been involved in about 15 different angel investments. So very much a kind of finance background, but you'll see soon when I talk you through the CrossFit investment thesis that we have a lot of drinks and food and bev specialists on board as well.
Let's go, Brad. Let's start talking.
Cool. So what is CrossFit? Well, CrossFit is an award-winning non-alcoholic spirit that is breaking through the high-end hospitality market globally. Our USP is texture, depth, and mouthfeel that replicates alcohol. Think the warmth in the back of your throat from an old-fashioned. Think the sharp, bitter twist of a Negroni, all without alcohol. What's the problem that we're looking to solve? Well, consumer and trade behavior towards alcohol is changing. Some data from the industry for you. Unbelievably, 1 in 3 pub and restaurant visits in the UK are now alcohol-free. And a huge 82% of bars in the UK plan to increase their no and low offering in 2023. And now the innovators of this industry, the bartenders, 75% of them drink no and low drinks themselves. So as you can see, there is a huge opportunity. And no and low is already here. I'm sure everybody listening has seen no and low drinks around. And that's because there is a market that already exists. Industry data points towards a market across the 10 leading economies of around $10 billion. Now that's a reasonable size market, but it is still incredibly young. When you look at the global market for alcohol and non-alcohol drinks combined, it comes to around $3 trillion. No and low is going to take share from both of those markets. From the alcohol market, because consumers are going to perhaps switch their favorite alcohol drink for a non-alcoholic version. And in the non-alcohol market, because consumers will upgrade from a Diet Coke or an orange juice or even a tap water to a more premium no and low cocktail, for example. Now with CrossFit, we have a proven concept. CrossFit was voted by The Independent the best overall non-alcoholic spirit with a 10 out of 10 rating for 3 years running and remains their favorite option for 2023. Not only that, but we have got bars, restaurants and hotels globally, award-winning, very reputable, top end that are listing CrossFit and have our drinks on their menus. The Savoy Hotel in London, the Atlantis in Dubai, Dishoom, Sushi Samba, Nobu, and many, many more. But this is a global opportunity for us. We've already launched in 9 international markets, 7 of them in 2022. The first overseas market we went into, the Middle East, which for us at the moment is the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait. We have significant traction there and recurring sales. We have a large pipeline of new markets going online in 2023. And this international expansion is low cost of capital and relatively easy to scale. We don't need to set up offices in these overseas markets. We don't need to hire employees. We don't even need to invest in production if we don't want to. We use a distributor model, and it is low risk with the potential for very high reward. Now, who's behind the wheel? We have a founding team of 3 of us, and we all bring a little bit of something different to the table. Carl, our founder and creator of the liquid, is an industry and TV drinks expert. Carl has appeared on shows like Sunday Brunch on Channel 4 or ITV's This Morning, talking about drinks. Tim's background is selling of spirits and wines. Tim worked for the UK's biggest wine and spirits wholesaler, and so brings that commercial knowledge to the table. And obviously, at the beginning, I gave you a background of my experience, which is mainly finance. Outside of that, we've got some other really interesting characters helping us out along the way. John Logue, our head of marketing, is ex-head of marketing for Brewdog. And Steve Lister, a member of our advisory board, is the ex-CFO of Seedlip. Seedlip, for those of you that don't know, was the very first non-alcoholic spirit that got acquired by Diageo in 2019 for around £100 million. Now, Steve has clearly been there, done that, and he is advising us along the way to do something very similar. In terms of our sales progress, we are growing substantially. So our annual sales are growing over 100% over the last year, and we plan for them to grow by another 100% at least over the next 12 months, based on our international expansion agenda. And how are we going to give a return for our investors? Well, conservatively, we think we can reach £20 million in sales by 2028. Based on industry multiples, this would value the business at around £200 million, at which point we would be a perfect bolt-on acquisition for someone like a Diageo or a Pernod Ricard, one of the big global beverage players. In terms of the details for this round, we are funding for this international growth agenda that I've talked about. We're looking for £500,000. Guide valuation for this round is around 4.5 million. And that investment does come with EIS assurance. Thank you, everybody, for listening to me. And if there is any questions.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much. Let me ask you my first question. We are talking about a massive market. The market is huge, and the low and no alcohol market is taking off. It's always more powerful. But where are you more focused, on the C or on the B market? Because it can be used in bar everywhere, hotels, can be also be bought maybe in the supermarket.
Absolutely, it's a great question, and without a doubt, we're focusing on the B. The product was designed by Carl, who is a ex-bartender himself, and as a solution for bartenders, for chefs, for mixologists to an ingredient. Effectively, a spirit is typically an ingredient for a bigger drink, a cocktail or a mixer and spirit. And so the on-trade hospitality market, which would be the B2B, is without a doubt where the low-hanging fruit for us is. Not only that, when you get into this market, typically you get on-menu listings, which gives repeat business. People coming into the door of that bar, restaurant, hotel, seeing a drink on the menu and ordering it. So we get a stickiness of our sales as well from that.
My second one is, can be used, can I drink it alone, or I must mix with something else?
From a kind of health and scientific point of view, absolutely, you can drink it alone. In the same way that a spirit can be drank alone. We do not promote it and advertise it to be drank alone because it's not what the product was designed for. But we do have customers that have told us that they enjoy drinking it alone.
I'm asking because sometimes there are, for example, many use vodka martini, which is you can absolutely drink a lot, but many times you just use combining with other drinks and becoming a cocktail. But you still can have, if you like, you go and you can try. You say massive expansion in Middle East. This is where you are more focused now in terms of market?
I wouldn't say it's where we're more focused. It is where we have, it's the largest proportion of our sales currently. and that's because it's the biggest overseas market that we launched into first, and it takes time, around 6 months. We estimate or from the experience of this particular market, to get sales flowing through. If you think about a product like this, having to get the regulatory approval, having to rewrite labels into a different language, for example, shipping the product out there, training up the sales team, the distribution staff. So it's a focus for us operationally right now because it's the largest proportion of our repeat sales. But towards the end of 22, we launched in France, Spain, and Mauritius as well. So those markets are getting going now. And very soon, we've also recently signed, we've recently agreed deals in Canada and also South Korea as well. So I guess to finalize the answer on that question, yes, Middle East is big focus for us operationally, and there's a lot of growth left to be done there. But we're also looking at those next markets as well.
I mean, let me ask you this, man. My idea. My idea has been, when we start talking about no alcohol, low alcohol, that country where alcohol actually is not allowed, like Middle East, many of them, Qatar, during the World Cup, you can drink anything. No way. Maybe can have some kind of boost to sell products like you. But in the end of the day, I can see that even in Europe, no alcohol, low alcohol are taking off so much. What's your point of view on this?
Absolutely. I mean, to address the entire market first, the actual core consumer of no and low products is not somebody that doesn't drink. You know, we're not talking pregnant women. We're not talking sober people. The biggest proportion of the market is actually drinkers, people that like a drink. They like a glass of wine with a meal. They like a cocktail on a night out with their friends. But they're actually looking for a bit of balance, a little bit of moderation. And when they switch over to that moderation or balance, they don't want to suffer a loss of flavor or a loss of experience. So that's the core market. But actually, you raised a really good point there with the Middle East, and that is that due to the sometimes regulations or particular societal kind of constraints in that region, the alcohol percentage can be an issue. And a lot of our competitors actually use a distillation process to reduce their alcohol. So like they create, for example, a gin using the usual alcohol process, but then they continue that distillation to perhaps, let's say, evaporate the alcohol and remove it. You end up with a product which still contains traces of alcohol, and that can be very difficult to then get into some of those markets, for example, Saudi Arabia. Our process does not involve that. We never have alcohol from the beginning at all. We use a maceration process of spices and botanicals. And for a reason, we've certainly had a head start and easier access to that market for that reason.
I mean, this is my last one. I mean, in your opinion, because there are many that are trying to sell no alcohol, low alcohol, many big brands are trying to get into this space. But in your humble opinion, what makes a no low alcohol a winner between the many? Which are the main requirement that is needed to win this such a big market? But anyway, a big portion of the share of this huge market.
Well, Max, I can give you my opinion, but it is actually the exact same opinion of 534 bartenders across the UK, because we actually launched a survey last year in collaboration with Nielsen, which are effectively a big data gathering agency in the UK. And those 500 bartenders, I can't remember the exact statistic, but let's say a big majority of them have the same opinion as I do, and it's all about flavor. It's about the feeling of, does that give me that sensation in the mouth, the texture, the warmth, the kind of shock factor of when you taste it, like an alcohol. And it's kind of trying to replicate that. If you can get it close, then it becomes something that the consumer will go back to again and again.
Brad, thank you so much. Please stay, don't go, because we are bringing back the other two founders. So we all close together. Lucky, I want to start with you and we close with the last sentence, or anyway, the last thought. Why investors should invest in yourself, your team, and your startup?
Well, I'll say it's the 3 Ps, and it's not profit, 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 but it's people, planet, profit. And I'd like to add another P to that, which is peace, because when we connect people between different cultures, make them speak to each other, make them understand each other, and make them become of value to each other, we can create a grassroots movement that enhances peace. And when it comes to the financial, economical aspect of this, everybody in the world speaks a language that somebody else are willing to pay to learn. So I think by starting with refugees and the indigenous languages as we do right now, we're in a small segment which has a big potential in itself, but it can also grow into any language combination.
Thank you so much, Lucky. Linda, why invest in yourself, your
Why?
team, and of course, OX?
Okay, well, we're a brand new revenue stream for a whole generation. And with AI and automation changing the the way in which people do work, OX will actually enable the human to do real work in a completely different way, and particularly Gen Z. We already have 1.2 million downloads across the globe. Our founders are extremely experienced. We believe that the return on investment will be very quick and aggressive. And that's it. And we are the work of the future.
Thank you so much, Linda. All the best. Brad, if you want to close this pitch event today, why invest in your drink and your team, of course, and yourself?
Because no and low drinks are a substantially growing market. And within that market, we have got a product that we have proven that the concept is proven. And we have a team in place to execute on a strategy over the next 5 years to grow this business, sell it, and give a return to our investors.
Thank you so much, Brad. Thank you to everyone for coming today. Watch our great founders. I really thank you, all of you guys, Lucky, Linda, and Brad. You make this happening today. And let me thank Equity Match team that helps me every day and week to run this show. And I'll see you next Tuesday, 5 p.m. UK time. And I wish you a great day for who is day, evening, Brad is day. And see you next time. And all the luck to our founders. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right.